I guess I just don't like rules in general. And I was like, let me start my own thing. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but
I thought some of the things here were weird.
let me move back to Taiwan. I hope it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
like crazy amount of money.
It was.
Then that led me to hosting reality shows on television. I was on a book tour, 3 YouTube channels in Chinese, and they were all guys. I can just start a channel with 3 competitors. There are people in power that want you to, obey. Do you know we use stamps a lot? I don't know if you've seen in movies and stuff from like 1,000 years ago. If I hold my ID and I go to a bank, I want to do something, without my stamp, I can't do
Receipt.
Oh.
And the signature was not the same as my credit card. And they would not
Mhm.
let me go until I practiced my signature.
When Luna collapsed, I lost so much money. And I feel like, hey, that was the first time that it's never coming back. I was like, you know what? Let me just shoot a spontaneous video.
If you do this too much, you're either somebody who is a visionary or a crazy person.
I've made the mistake of people usually don't think about opportunity cost.
你可能听说过很多在加密货币圈致富的故事。
Got the whole crypto world going wild. Money blockchain, she's the queen of the game. Stacking crypto like it's her claim to fame.
Sneaky girl, she's so smart.
All right, let's talk about that too. So, blockchain, you are a very prominent YouTuber here in Taiwan. Thanks for coming on the Explain Yourself podcast. So, tell me how you got into crypto, though.
Wow. Should I start with my life story?
All right, let's talk about that too. So, blockchain, you are a very prominent YouTuber here in Taiwan. Thanks for coming on the Explain Yourself podcast. So, tell me how you got into crypto, though.
Wow. Should I start with my life story or
Yeah.
just like the story? Okay. So, I've been traveling a lot all my life. I don't have the typical Asian parents where they want you to stay at school and all that. So they let me explore. And we used to go on a lot of trips when I was little. So after college, I was like, you know what? That's the type of life I really enjoy. And, based in Taiwan, like all the Taiwanese airlines, you go to Europe, you go to America, you go to Australia, or within Asia. But, there's a piece of the world that's missing. Of course, like South America and Africa, right? So I was like, where can I, work, or like what can I do to just go to Africa really often and, dance with the lions and the giraffes, right? And so I was like, okay, I should probably join like an airline, like one of the fancy airline in the Middle East, so I can go to all these really crazy places and get paid. That was just my
Yeah.
mentality. So then I joined Emirates Airlines. That was really fun. I was supposed to only stay for 1 year, but I had too much fun. So I ended up staying for 4 years. British people call it cabin crew. Americans call them flight attendant.
Yeah, flight attendant.
Yeah.
Wait, stewardess.
Air hostess. Yes, same thing.
I heard that if you go and work for one of the fancy airlines, we throw you in the water and then you have to like swim and get out and show that you can deal with stress. Do they make you do that?
No, you have to know how to swim-ish in life jacket, which is so easy. You fight fire, I don't know, deliver a baby. It's actually fun, but it was definitely stressful. Like you have to learn all that in a very short period of time. So, and yeah, I explored so many cultures and I did everything I wanted to do, like lions, tigers, and like giraffes, cheetah, all that thing I want to do. I did all that. But living in Dubai though, and especially with that job, you fly everywhere, right? And people you work with, let's say a flight would be like 20 to 25 crew. And these are people from everywhere in the world, which is really fun. But because Emirates Airline is so big, you never fly with your friends, or you never fly with the same people ever again. I've probably flown with 5 people, like 5 people I've seen in 4 years. So it's that crazy. And it gets really lonely at times because, you know, you go to all these cool places with people you don't know, but they are basically your family for this trip because, you know, you don't know anybody. And these new people that you just met are the closest people you have. So when you're sick or like when you get into trouble, these are the people you rely on. It was exciting at first, but later on it gets really tiring. It's like mentally drained. So I was like, let me move back to Taiwan. And at the time I was writing like this travel blog and a lot of people were reading it. So I published a travel book at the time when I moved back. And then that led me to, you know, hosting reality shows on television, which is, you know, I was on a book tour and I met a lot of like podcasters and like people in the traditional media television. So I hosted a television show for like 2 years. That was during COVID. And I was a little bored in television, to be honest with you, because there's like this really stiff system in television. Like there are things that you can and cannot say.
Okay. Like
And
what were is it different in Taiwan as well, or just in general?
mm, no, I don't know if it's the same in US, but there are jokes that you're not supposed to make. Not really political, but like, you know, let's say sexual. It's not like I like to make sexual jokes. I just don't like to be told what to or to not say. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like there are stories that the guests share that you're just not supposed to air because it's inappropriate. And I feel like that kind of limits the things you can talk about. Or there would be sponsors of the show, and you're supposed to show that product for however long, like all these little things. Sorry.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that
Yeah.
they have people that can't say certain things in a reality show because in the US, we have people who encourage, you know, drama and say things
hmm
behind the scenes
hmm
to make sure that inappropriate things were said.
See, that's it sounds like a better show now.
That's why reality shows can't really be I mean, there's even shows about reality shows and producing
hmm
this whole theater is created. And it's just it's just different, I guess.
Entertaining. I like
Yeah,
that.
but we have our own problems with also sponsorships and those sorts of problems too. So you are
Yeah.
bored with that.
You have to be politically correct. You have to be appropriate and you have to follow all these rules. I guess I just don't like rules in general. And I was like, let me start my own thing. So before that, I was writing a blog. It was more like in what is it? Like words, right? And I was like, how about let's try social media? Let's try YouTube, which is more like a visual video. And I actually really appreciate my time with the television channel because that made me really comfortable in front of camera. Because I think that's a skill that you need to learn. So that I was really grateful for. And I had a lot of editors and I know how to talk to editors just because of that work experience. So yeah, I started my own thing and at the time it was COVID. So I was like, what do I love to do? What should my channel be about? It's either I love traveling. So it's either traveling or investing. I've been investing for a long time. Can't do traveling obviously because it's COVID. Yeah. So I started talking about investing. Also, because crypto was really popular at the time, and I was looking at YouTube and there were like, I don't know, 3 channels, like a bigger channel. Of course, there are a lot more. 3 YouTube channels in Chinese, and they were all guys. And I was like, this is interesting. I can just start a channel with 3 competitors. Like, you don't really get that anywhere,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then that's why I started that. But at first, it was very difficult. I was buying all these tokens, but God, if you ask me to explain the technology behind it, kill me, right? How do I explain that? Because I don't have a tech background. I studied business. So it's like the numbers are okay, but if you want me to explain the tech, it's hard. So I think I struggled with that at first, but then later on you just get used to it. It forced you to study, it forced you to do research and all that. And now it's just natural.
You were investing in traditional stocks.
I was investing in crypto, altcoins, American stock, Taiwanese stock, Hong Kong stock.
Have you
But
done any currency exchange?
no.
So just got this idea. Like, let me, while you're looking up, I guess, how to do certain things on trading, you're obviously using YouTube like we do in the United States. And you're like,
Mhm.
wait, I'm kind of bored being a TV host. Why don't I just have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, and then I can control my own schedule. I can decide who I want or might not want to work with. Because there's still, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but you still meet like a lot of, um, it's like a hierarchy. And there are people in power that want you to, obey, whatever that is. And I hated it. I hate rules. I hate all that hierarchy thing. That's why I was like, why don't I start my own thing?
Do you find that you are one of the few people like that in Taiwan? Because when I was in Taiwan, I could not believe, I mean, even to use, and I'm not just using this as an example, to use a socket in the wall in a public place, because I carry my computer around, right?
Yeah.
I needed the authority of whoever it was that owned the building or whatever it was to use the plug. I could not use it unless I got the approval.
Wait, where were you? Is it like a public building or is it your own like residence?
It wasn't my residence. It was a public building, and I would say it is a bit weird to just pull out a charger, right? But I carry around my computer in my purse all the time because I'm always on it.
Mm,
So I found that really funny. Like, ma'am, we need to get permission from this person, not from
yeah.
me, to use the plug. I'm sure
Yeah,
that's
sometimes
an
it's
extreme example.
it's really stupid. Because okay, I think people do not want trouble, right? They'd rather be like, hey, I've asked my manager about this. So if there's any problem, it's not me. Like I've asked, right? I think that's people's mentality. They do not want to take the responsibility because I'm not getting paid enough to do that. I don't know if this is the mentality, but it's just people are less flexible.
Mhm.
They're good and bad. Like people, really great employees. Like they follow the rules, they go by the book, whatever you tell them, and no problem at all. Right. But the problem is like as a customer or like people living here, sometimes you're like, this is just common sense, you know? There's no rule around this. So just I don't know, let me use the pocket. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, it's funny you pull that because now I'm realizing, like, even in the United States, I'm not it's not fun necessarily to deal with me if I'm just doing my own thing, probably kind of like you. So we're not following any sort of protocol already in the United States. In Taiwan, it's probably like, I don't know what to do with this person. Like,
Yeah.
there's no rules for any of these sorts of things that this person's doing. I would say probably you. You probably have like some really funny stories about that. Are you in Taiwan just doing like maybe even
Yes.
interviewing people, right? And maybe a
Mhm.
public space, and that's what's the protocol for that? I mean, there's a
Yeah, no, there are a lot of like really silly rules that I don't really understand. For example, there's one that I really hate about Taiwan. Like I love Taiwan, but there's one system that I really hate. Do you know we use stamps a lot? Like stamps as in, I don't know if you've seen in movies and stuff, like you stamp it and it's like your name and like a square with your name or like all that. You've seen
Yeah.
that?
yeah.
It feels like things from like 1,000 years ago, but we still use it. And if you go to like a bank, even if you represent your own company, you have a stamp for the company, or like multiple stamps. And as an individual, you have, I hate it. You have a stamp that represent yourself. Okay. So if I hold my ID and I go to a bank, I want to do something without my stamp, I can't do
Oh, that is so interesting.
yeah, like you're like, hey, I'm here with my ID, but you want my stamp. And it has to be the same, it has to be that particular one. So like everybody has like 10 steps. And you have to remember, oh, for this A bank, I use this one. And for that B bank, the system is
So
really stupid.
amazing. And also, like, what if a stamp company goes out of business and that exact rubber is gone, and you get another like style of that stamp, and it's
No,
not.
all these stamps are made in like the smallest shops, just around the corner. So there's no like a stamp that fits everybody. You can have your own thing, and you have like different material. You have wood ones, like fancy ones, whatever bone fancy type of thing. I just don't like this system because it causes a lot of trouble, wastes a lot of time. Like I went to buy a new phone the other day, and they asked for my stamp.
Uh-huh. Okay. And
I
you-
just
Wow.
I just want to extend my contract with this telephone company, and I want to buy a new phone. They're like,
Mhm.
hey, I need your stamp because I was using my company, I don't know, like the company to buy the phone, right? The number is with the company. And they're like, I need the stamp of your company. And I had to come back and do it's just a waste of time, man.
That's so fun. Do you find that your mentality though is different than most people there? They just kind of go along with the status quo, and you're actually the weird one?
Um, I think people do not think about it that often because it's just a norm that you grew up with. And okay, so if you do not go abroad and compare different countries or different cultures, you will never think that's weird. Like you think the world works like that, right? But then if you go around the world and you're like, oh, they don't use that and they use like a better system, then you'll start evaluating what is wrong with your system. So if you do not know, then it is just the right way. But then if you've seen other ways of doing things, then, there's always things to improve.
You said the exact same thing that my friend said, who is one of my friends is Ukrainian. She said, actually, Dana, when I first came to the United States, when I was younger, I thought some of the things here were weird. And I was thinking, like, "Well, what is that? I think everything here is somewhat reasonable." And she said, well, for example, what's with this? It's just the policy situation. Like, I
Mhm.
don't necessarily want to pay insurance for the car. I'll just pay for or whatever it is, like insurance for this certain product, and you have to pay for it. Sometimes where you get to make that choice, but it's not a real choice. You have to do it because it's policy or whatever the policy is. So we kind of do stuff like that too.
Yeah, who made the policy? Who's
No,
making money from this policy?
it doesn't make any sense. No, I mean, there are things here that just drive me nuts in the same sort of way. Taiwan, I don't know if did I tell you the story when I signed my name on a receipt?
Oh,
And the
yeah.
signature was not the same as my credit card. And they would not
Mhm.
let me go until I practiced my signature.
See,
So
that is really silly, right? That is so silly. So let's say I take somebody else's credit card, there's a signature on it, and I can just look at it and practice, then that would be mine. But you would rather believe that. I don't know, that it's just very strange to me.
has that happened to you before there? Or is that just my experience? Maybe because I look a little bit like
for the longest time, I refused to sign my credit card. I just started signing recently because I'm so tired of fighting with them. So for the longest time, I refuse to sign it because I'm like, okay, so let's say somebody steal my credit card and they can just look at it and then, practice. But if I don't sign it, they do not know what my signature looked like. So, but I went to the US. This was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, like 5 years ago. And they made me sign my credit card, like one of the shops.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we-
I guess it's this, okay, it's the policy or like it's the system. It does say that you have to sign your signature on the credit card. I just think it's very silly, so I didn't want to sign.
so funny that we come from such different cultures, and yet like the things that bother us are exactly the same. I don't like to follow the rules. I don't like to do things that don't make sense. And if you do this too much, you're either like somebody who is, a visionary or a crazy person. The line is really gray. So probably we're back and forth depending on the audience here.
And sometimes I just give in sometimes because there's no point of me fighting over a signature. I have other things to do, you know?
Do you ever just lean into it? I started just leaning into it. Like, that's a really good
Yeah.
idea. I think that's a
Yeah.
really good idea that I sign this or that I follow this rule. Thank you for looking out.
Mm.
Like,
Because sometimes I do find myself arguing over something. Okay, what are the chances of me losing my credit card and someone trying to practice it? Probably not that big. So maybe I should just not spend my time trying to argue over this. I'll just sign it. I feel like it's more common in the US to do that and it's more acceptable
tell me more. What's more acceptable?
to have a different opinion,
I've heard
because I don't know if you have that feeling, but in Taiwan, in class, like growing up, they do not appreciate the kid that always asks questions or like that do not want to follow the rules because that's being seen as the bad kid or like the kid that, make noises or make jokes or like all that, that's like a bad kid. So a good kid from Taiwan. So like a good kid would be the kid that doesn't have opinion or just are like everybody else, doesn't cause trouble. That's like the good kid. So like a good kid would be a good employee, but a bad kid would be a good entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's what I think later on in life, And yeah, it's just I think the education here, because we care a lot about the community and we do not want to cause trouble. Like you don't want to be seen as that person that's, different. I guess this is more generalized. I can't really say that for everybody, but this is more like if you compare different cultures and if I have to put it in like very simple terms, this is my observation.
Yeah, it's like it's nice in a way because you have more community. So everyone's kind of looking out for each other. But then on the other side, and in the US, people are more individualistic. You might be capping yourself, you might be capping your potential. I remember in Vietnam when I was in a situation where there's these group of people that I was teaching computer skills there. And it's a long story. Like, good friend of mine has this place there, this pagoda there, and I was like, yeah, we can do some sort of like promotion, or I can help you with this, and we can do giveaway for like all the people there. When I say kids, they were like 2 years younger than me. So they weren't really, but every single time they would get the prize, and it would be like to encourage them to, learn better so that they could go out and like get a job and whatever. And they would get like this prize and they would just take everybody out for coffee. Like every single time. None of them would actually take the winning. They just wanted to bring all their friends.
Mhm.
Very nice, but or even in like Eastern Europe, or just not Eastern Europe, definitely not Eastern. In Europe, like people don't want to cause problems, and they don't want to inconvenience other people,
Mm.
even like
Mm.
to a higher extent to their family or their people in their inner circle. They really want to like not stand out.
The thing about taking people out for coffee, I mean, if that person actually wants to do that and that makes them happy, it's great. But there are times where they actually want to keep the prize for themselves, but they get pressure from the society that they're supposed to share it with everybody else. And in that case, that would be not so great. So I think it really depends on the person, you know.
Yeah, it's like people don't really get to make the decision. They're just kind of coerced into what's appropriate.
And I think it's also like the same community concept. It's also like you really care about what other people think of you. And it's really funny. So, as I told you, I worked at Emirates, right? And it's this airline that Taiwanese think is like really fancy and, very
Yeah,
international,
all
which
know
is true, which is true. So, when Taiwanese people come on this flight, I love doing Taipei flight because they're so nice. Like they just want to be like the nicest form of Taiwanese, like very, very cooperative, very polite, extremely polite. I'm not saying they're not polite in Taiwanese airline, but you can see that they're extra polite on, you know, Emirates flights because they are representing this community. they're representing this they're representing Taiwan. So
Mhm.
they need to be seen as this really polite or like kind or that type of people. And you can see that like there's a difference. And it's really funny. They take it very personal. Like they're like, okay, I have this responsibility to show the world that Taiwan is very nice.
They tell you about their culture and they tell you
No,
about
you can see that. You can just see that. Like they're like the good students in class. And they will make sure you know that they're from Taiwan when they behave very well. It's like, you know, and yeah, and like if they have like a story, you'll see them posting on social media like this happened, and then I make sure they know it's from Taiwan, this and that. And you're like, it's really cute. But it's the mentality that, you don't want to trouble other people. You want to make sure your family or your friends or like the community you represent look good.
Mhm.
That type of thing.
So were you ever like this when you were a kid, or just because your family was so kind of different or more lenient
Yeah,
too much?
I don't really feel like I try to represent anything.
Mhm.
No. No, it's just, huh, no. But I think in Taiwan, it's more like if something happened in your family, I think that's true everywhere. If something happened in your family that's not like that great, you would not want to share it with other people. Or like when something, it's like home, community, and Taiwan, right? So if something that's not that great happened within Taiwan, you don't really see Taiwanese going around the world and talk about it.
Mm.
Yeah. They just want to talk about like the good side of Taiwan, I think. But it's changing. The new generations are a little different. And we like to complain.
Yeah, well, I think that's like kind of just a universal law at this point.
Yeah.
What was it like when you got into crypto? How did your world change when you started your channel in what,
Mm.
2 years ago?
That was 3 years ago. So at first like I struggled with explaining all the technology behind it. So, like I said, I did a lot of studying and research, and it would take me quite a long time to prep for one video. So, it was never like a spontaneous type of video. I think my first spontaneous video was when FTX collapsed. Wait, actually, not true. When Luna collapsed, and I had a lot of money in Luna. And that day, like, I lost so much money. And I feel like, hey, like, and that, have you experienced that? The Luna collapse? Okay.
Not, but I've experienced a lot.
Mhm.
So, like most people, unfortunately on both ends, I've, experienced both, but those losses are like they're a really big wake up call. Luna was different.
That was the first time that you know it's never coming back. Like there are times when there like a market crash, whatever, but you know it's coming back. But Luna was the first one for me at least that I know it's not coming back. It's gone.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I mean, I was hacked in a major way once as well, which
Oh
was
no.
horrible. Like I just heard the ching cash.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
looked over, it was our business wallet, and I looked over at my partner and we were like, oh my God. There's a whole other story on like how that even happened. But that's just like it's like your heart sinks, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a rush to try to we ended up hiring a programmer to create an algorithm that would transfer because part of the money was in their wallet, part of it was in our wallet, and part of it was in another wallet. And we could get it, we had a chance of getting or in an exchange. We had a chance of getting it from the exchange insofar as we could transfer it faster than the other guys. So
But you acted really fast then.
they already took half of it, like in their
Oh.
crystal wallet, and then they found another wallet, and my partner put a seed phrase
Oh
on
no.
on a note, an Evernote, and the
Yeah.
title of it was like crypto or something. Oh my God. And so
Yeah.
I logged into Evernote
Yeah.
and to pull up the card, and they had already deleted the note.
That's
Deleted it.
terrible. But I guess we all learn. I've made stupid mistakes like that too. But I hope
Well,
it wasn't
yeah.
like crazy amount of money.
It was. Yeah, it was. It was a long time
Oh
ago.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not good. It was not good.
At the
But
time, now you can laugh about it.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to like just watching the market go down, but it was like
Mm,
I was look, I
it's
mean,
never coming back.
he was a great business partner in a lot of other ways. So like, but that
Okay.
was that was tough. So what happened with Luna?
Yeah, so I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I made like this really stupid mistake of putting too many different orders of different prices. And I was like, oh, I'll never get there. But what if one day there's like this really bad news and the market crash a little bit? I can actually buy it for really cheap. That was my stupid mentality. And then one day I woke up, I bought like all of my orders were filled. I was like, what happened? And then it just never came back. And that day I lost quite a lot of money. And I was like, you know what? Let me just shoot a video because like a spontaneous video instead of like trying to prep for the video.
Yeah.
And that one was the first one I think that took off. Like that was probably a few months in of me starting a channel, and that was the first one that got like 100K view. And I was like, oh, this is such a big deal, right? So then I guess like I spent that money to learn this new way of shooting video and like really talking to the camera instead of like trying to educate. Like I think it's a different mentality. If you're really trying to just talk to the camera, your audience will feel like you are their friend and you're really sharing something personal with them. But if you're like doing research and all that and you're just sharing information, I mean, it's great too. But you kind of need to find a balance between these two. Otherwise, you're just like any other person sharing information and news.
So what do you feel like your niche? Obviously, I've watched some of your videos, even the ones in your language, and I don't know what you're saying. So I don't have as much to compare to with like all of your videos, unless it's like the people that you're interviewing that are English. But what do you think with all of your content that is kind of like your niche
You
video?
mean compared to other type or like other Chinese speaking YouTuber, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think we have a lot of Chinese speaking YouTubers talking about crypto. I don't know, like if you think about English YouTubers talking about crypto, I can probably like name 10, 20 or more. You can probably name more, right?
Well, there's a good bit, I would say now.
Mhm. And also you get a lot of like Europeans talking about crypto in English or like, you know, like Crypto, he's German, or like even like Asian YouTubers talking about crypto in English. So it's there's like a bigger group of creator. But in Asia or like in the Chinese speaking market, I can probably name, I don't know, 5. I mean, there are definitely more, but I can probably just name 5 or like, yeah, definitely less than 10. And I would say 30-40% of them are more like technical analysis, all the charts and stuff. And they want to talk about the market every single day. So they go through like charts every day and they tell you their trading strategy that every day, or like they live stream all that, right? And the other, let's say 20% are probably like engineers, where they talk about really, really difficult stuff. Like they talk alien language. I don't even understand them, right? And those people are probably like extremely smart, or they're so experienced in the market, or yeah, it's just the language is very different. So when they speak to the audience, they attract people that understand that language, because normie like me would never understand what you're saying, you know. So they attract probably like a smaller and a niche type of crypto audience. And then the other 30% would be people like me. It's more like, oh, what's happening recently? What am I doing recently with my strategy and what I think will happen, interviewing and all that. So that is more, I think, friendly. I try to make sure that all of my videos, my mom could understand. Yeah.
So interesting that I'm trying to think of channels like the developers, or the
Mm-hmm.
people we're talking about that I wouldn't know what they're talking about either. They're on Twitter or Reddit or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
some sort of like tech site online sharing code.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just surprised that you don't have, especially with like finance, and you just don't have more people doing it. Why do you think that's especially now? Like, why is that?
Why aren't they on YouTube? Because they don't like talking to people. I don't know. I think everyone's good at different things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And also I think sometimes people like that, they start a channel, but then they find that they have like a way smaller audience. And it's kind of frustrating that, you know, things you try to share, you don't really get that much feedback. Then I guess you will give up. Because I think what's the stat? 97% of creators give up after however many videos. So they're probably
Yeah.
more popular on YouTube if they just write threads, right? So I guess different people have different way of expressing themselves.
So you started this channel and you're like, well, I'm not going to do reality TV
Mhm.
probably at some point. So I'm just going to do this YouTube thing. And you didn't really think about the future with it. It sounds like you just kind of jumped in.
I didn't
Yeah,
know anybody in crypto. I did not. Well, I have a really good friend working with like a fund, like, but I did not know anybody in crypto. Of course, I have friends that invest in all that, but when I talk about crypto, I mean like people actually working in the industry. So when I started, I was just like doing my own thing. And I honestly just started meeting people in crypto probably like this past 1.5 year. Because I've been staying at home, like making videos and like doing my own thing for a very long time. And I was like, maybe I should, meet some people. What was your question again? I got sidetracked.
Yeah, no, I understand. But now
Yeah.
that what content do you think is doing the best for you?
Don't know. Define best. So best could be really popular in the crypto space. Like there are content where people in crypto are sharing on social media. You can say that is the best. But then you can also say the videos with the most views are the best. So I try to because I want to talk to the everyday person, and I believe crypto is for the everyday person. And a lot of them, because I'm lucky because I was introduced not super early, but fairly still earlier than a lot of people. So I was like, I'm really thankful. How do I communicate or how do I do the same for other people? What I do is I talk about AI or like new tech. I talk about wealth reports every year. So these are not really crypto, but
Mhm.
these are the topic that people in crypto would enjoy, or people who enjoy these type of topic might enjoy crypto. Like they might want to learn about crypto later on. So I throw in these type of videos once in a while. And these are usually the ones that get most views because you get a way bigger audience. You're not talking about, I don't know, like a very small type of niche. Wealth report, like how is Taiwan or like how is Asia or like how are different countries going to rank in the world next year when it
Mhm.
comes to, GDP or when it comes to income per person. That type of thing, I think people are really, really interested in because they want to know, okay, like, am I going to do well next year? Or like,
Oh, really? They want to know for
yeah,
that.
they want to know. And like I said earlier, that, people in Taiwan have this thing about they want to look good, like they want to represent, right? So if I talk about how is Taiwan going to be next year, like is Taiwan going to rank really high next year? We love ranking. We love like being in the top, it's like just we love it. So like if you say, oh, Taiwan's going to be in top 3 in this category next year, people are gonna just love it. So that type of content usually do very, very well when it comes to like views. So it depends on how you define, a success of a video.
So they're not necessarily watching this for investment. They're watching this like a sport. Like
some of the videos, they're just really like, it's probably like the first video they watch on my channel, and then later on, sometimes I see in the comment section, they started with these type of videos, and then later on they learn about crypto and they started, buying Bitcoin and stuff. And I'm happy seeing that, because that's what I want people to do.
yeah, that's cool. So you're helping the common person. You're subtly getting them into crypto because they're going to get higher returns, and also in the future, right? Like a year from now or 5 years from now, what do you want to be doing with your channel, or what do you visualize? Are you kind of seeing like where you're getting most traction and leaning into that?
What I want to do next is probably what you're doing right now. Just talk to entrepreneurs. We don't have a lot of channels that speak to really successful people. I'm sure there are some, but most of them are speaking to local entrepreneurs or like local founders and owners. I think it's because of the language, but I would love to bring on more guests from everywhere else in the world and just talk about their experience, because I feel like there are a lot of super talented people here and really highly educated, very smart. But it's just because, like I said, if you're not exposed to different ideas or different ways of doing things, you would just think, oh, being engineer at like one of the biggest company is the cap in life. Like that is how you define like a great life. But then, people that do not have this type of education or people that cannot get into these big companies, they're going to feel like they're outliers or like they're not doing as great. But I don't think that's necessarily true. There are so many other very successful people around the world that are like you. They probably didn't go to Harvard, they didn't go to Stanford, but they're still doing great. And this is how they do it. So I would love to tell that story to people. It's either going to be a different channel or like a podcast, but I'm working on that too.
That's cool. And I would imagine that you're going to really pave the way a lot, especially in Taiwan, because in the United States, like everybody wants to be, have their own business. And it became really cool.
Mhm.
And like I can't even tell you how many startups, like I can't even tell you how many startups I've been a part of. Most of them have failed miserably, but the trick is to like fail really fast, and then start something else or work with partners, or work with people who you really respect.
Mhm.
Ben, I really respect, and that's why I do his marketing because I learn a lot from him and
Mhm.
got investing these things that I think are super important. But you are also in investing, which is awesome. So you're in investing, you're a girl, you're in Taiwan, which is you have this mindset of I'm gonna just have my own rules, which is not super common there. And then you're also have your own business, which is awesome. How do you have time to do your investments too? Or do you kind of have like time set aside? I'm going to do a long-term strategy where I just DCA X amount of times a month and let it sit, or what's your protocol?
Mm. I think okay, I think I can still do better. But what I do now is a big chunk of my money is in like a safer bet. For example, if it's stock, it's not S&P 500, but all the AI stock or like Taiwan is famous for making chips and stuff, like all the really big companies, right? So if it's in stock, it's in those type of stock. I don't really go for like the, I don't know, 20x type of stock or like I don't day trade and stuff. So that is stock. For crypto, most are in Bitcoin, so I really don't need to look at it. I've made the mistake of FOMOing into some like really small altcoins or like some meme coins just last year because I was like, oh, I was preparing for altcoin season, which now I look back, I'm like, that was a wrong move. But thank God, most of my money are still in big cap. I think I'm learning or like refining my investment strategy along the way. And now if I were to tell other people like or I were to share it with other people, I'd probably skip like all the smaller caps that I thought because okay, my strategy was like let's say 60 to 80% in like those bigger ones that the safe one that you don't really need to look at. And then the other, I don't know, 20-30% I allocate to like the medium cap and smaller cap. And I was like, maybe these are going to give me better returns than that. But then I realized that my real money maker should not be that. Like I should focus on running the business itself because that's the real revenue generator.
Mm-hmm.
And for investment, I wanted to just maybe have in crypto, you probably do not want like 10% of like S&P 500, but I want probably just like 30-40% annually for like the next 40-50 years. Then I'm fine. So yeah, so like now I've realized this and it's never too late because it's not that putting 20 or 10% in small cap or meme coins are bad. And it's not necessarily bad. You might make more or like you might outperform Bitcoin, but you also stress or like spend time like worrying about it or like trying to keep up with the trend. And I think that is the luxury I don't have because I need that time to focus on what to do next. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely understand. And I think a lot of people who have a business or they have something where they need capital for it, they realize like, oh, wait, I'm going to get more return, at least in the short term, if I just kind of focus on grow
Hmm.
and then just continually invest in the crypto on S&P, whatever it is. Because if you try,
Hmm.
well, that's when you're getting opportunity cost of your attention.
Exactly. People usually don't think about opportunity cost. Like you spend this time, you think you can make this extra however much percent, but then there's this other thing that could have given you a bigger return that you're not doing. Yeah.
Um, I think you're real, like I think you're just like an entrepreneur in your bones, like just who you are. I can just kind of tell talking to you. Remember when we were at Michael Saylor's party? Did I show you my
Hmm.
nails? My
Your
nails that
nails? No.
I think I showed you. I had my nails designed like with the Cryptoverse logo and then like the Bitcoin logo and a bunch of O's and ones. And then the other one was a chip. So if I count,
Oh, I think I saw that
it's really
really briefly.
it's a Chinese company. It's a
Hmm.
really bad company. It doesn't work super well, but it works to scan their business cards. I think that'd be really cool.
Interesting. You know what I tried to do before? I cut up my credit card, one of my credit card. This was probably like, I don't know, like 10 years ago. And then I went to a nail salon. I was like, can you put this on my nails so I can
That's
like
cool.
I can pay for things? Because I think I saw that on Instagram and it looked really cool. So that person did that for me and I couldn't scan nothing. It doesn't scan, okay? Like I can't pay for nothing. And then that thing is just on my nail. It looked really sad.
I thought you were gonna say that you cut it up because you signed her name wrong, so you had to get another one.
No. I was trying to pay for things. And like I was trying to go to take MRT. I was like, it didn't work.
That's really cool. I think you can use your fingerprint at some places
Mm,
to pay. I don't love that.
mm.
I don't love using your biometrics.
But then you're already using your facial recognition to pay on your phone.
Yeah. And like and we have no sort of say for that. Like you have to,
Hmm.
you know?
But it's so convenient.
I know it is. Like I've gone back and forth between the convenience and security.
Mm,
Like the more
mm,
convenience something is, the least secure it usually is.
I feel you. But it's like a debate, right? Sometimes there are times in life you care about security, but sometimes you just want to chill.
Like public Wi-Fi.
Even if that means I have to do data roaming and I have to pay more, that's fine.
Do you have one of those Wi-Fi boxes that you carry around yet?
Um, I had those, but those are not that convenient, at least when I was using them. It was probably like a while ago. But then later on, I had like a phone number with, I can't remember if it was T-Mobile, and they had like international Wi-Fi everywhere. I don't know if they still have it, but when I was traveling with Emirates Airline, I had that for a couple of years, and that was so good.
Well, I hope you come travel to the States again soon. Do you have any
Yeah,
plans to go anywhere?
I'll probably go to Vegas.
Excellent.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely going to see you in Vegas. So end of May. It's morning by you. It's like it's late by me. So it's really funny. You're like getting your day started and I'm like in the
Hmm.
future. So I can tell you your future over here. But thanks for coming. I mean, it's super fun.
Yeah, it was a great chat. Thank you.
I'm very, very curious about where you're going to take your channel.
Yeah,
Um,
keep in touch.
where can people find you online? Bonnie Blockchain, YouTube, but where can people find you on Twitter and anywhere else where you are online?
Um, If it's Twitter, you can still look for Bonnie Blockchain, I think. Hold on, I forgot my handle. Hold on.
Taking it too much.
Because Bonnie Blockchain is taken. Okay, it's at Block Bonnie C. And that's Twitter, and then Instagram, it's Bonnie Blockchain. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys should go follow her. I follow you and I don't know what you're saying all the time, but it's so cool because you have all these like animations and you're just so much more fun with that than we are. We're a little bit more boring over in the US with our editing.
Oh, we have to because we're very visual and we need subtitles and all that. That's why our editing takes way longer.
That's good.
Yeah.
We'll come on again soon.
Yeah.